Okay, it is 8:31 according to my timepiece. Call the meeting to order. Certification of open meetings.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Adoption of the agenda. 17-item agenda.
Move.
Okay. Any questions, adjustments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Carried. Public comment period is now open. Members of the public will have a 15-minute block. What? Oh, no wonder. I wrote on the wrong line that we did it. Thank you. Minutes. Stand a second. Any questions there? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
There, now I'm back on the right line. Now I will attempt to read this. Members of the public have a 15-minute block of time to comment on today's items. Members may be present in person, call in to make such comments. To comment by telephone, please call 715-538-1894. Public comment may be extended or curtailed at the discretion of the board chair after advisement by the county/committee board. We'll leave that open. I don't see any phone ringing here. Don't see anybody here. Paul, were you going to say?
I said, I don't see.
No, I don't see anybody here, and we'll leave it open. If a call comes in, we'll deal with it. County sales tax update.
September collection is $240,504.93, which is higher than last year and higher than the year before. So that brings us to $1,564,278.99. So I figured out we have like 5 months to go, and we only have to have $735,000 to make budget. We only have to average $147,000 a month to make that budget. And if you look at the year before, we've all been in the 200s and 100s, so we'll over budget again. I'm gonna shut that door. I think, Brett, it's more that one there, but that's okay.
I won't shut it all the way. So even though this.
Is that legitimate to have both doors closed for this?
That they don't pay until.
It's still open. Okay, I can't see it from here.
Right, but how do we use this for budget?
Okay, any questions on the sales tax?
Well, David's got a question here.
Okay.
We budget 1.3 million. That's what's in our budget.
Right,
And we're at 1.5 towards that 2.3.
right, but does that 1.7 for the budget?
2.3.
2.3.
Yep.
Does that run January through December or
Yes.
February through February, that number?
The collections are January through December, but when we get paid, it's
Okay,
March through February.
so it's as if that 2.3 is in the January through December.
Yep.
Have you guys got your mics on?
Mine's on.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe I'm just not close enough doing that.
So,
What did we budget for?
It's on there. That's at 2.3 million.
No, I know, but what did we budget for this, if we raised it to 2.5 or something?
I didn't
I
go
think
that
Paul
high.
had 2.4, I
I think we
believe,
went 2.4, yeah.
which we could make an adjustment on if we
But when
need
you
to.
see like the last year and the year before, that money just goes into the general
Right,
fund.
yep.
well, but it's important if we feel like we're going to need some of that general fund for shoring up some budgets this year that could affect next year's budget. Remember how we talked about if we give them money this year, they're not gonna need as much next year, that kind of thing?
We did that with highway you're talking about,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
450,000.
Right.
That'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Because it was winter maintenance, wasn't it?
Winter maintenance was the exact
So,
title,
I
I
mean-
think.
Do we need to, I mean, it's really hard to know. You can't know for sure, but what do you think we're gonna end up being? Even if we average 200 even, we're gonna be above what we,
At least 250,000 over, yeah.
so 250,000 over the 2.3.
Yeah.
And it'd be, I think it was,
But I think it's gonna be higher than that.
I think it was Forward Analytics that I saw their report. I believe that was the group that said they're projecting we're gonna be at 2.8 million.
Yeah, we've been kind of conservative, I'm gonna say.
Right,
We've
yep.
been. So at budget time, we could raise it a little bit if you wanted,
I
more
think-
than what I
I
already
think we're gonna
did.
bring in another million at least between now and February. That's 200,000 or 225 or so
Yep.
average. So that we'll be at 1 point or 2 point.
Yeah, that would be about 2.5, 2.6, yep. And if you look at, in 2022, the next month was 228, then 269, 225. Then we had a 170 that was low, which would have been for October, November. And then February was big because that would have Black Friday at the end of November when they have to pay in.
I'm just saying, we might be looking at another 300,000 over.
Possibly.
That we have to kind of help us with things, so.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Anything else on sales tax?
That's all I got for that one.
Okay, general fund update.
And there weren't any changes on that one, so we're at 5,260,469.39. So we're sitting good on that one.
That's after we take out everything that's already been allocated, right?
Yes. And it didn't have anybody the last 2 months take any money out of the general fund. It was back in July was the last time, which was that 450,000.
Yeah.
Now, I suppose this is mixing things here, but that food pantry money, didn't we request if they wanted money again to come back through the budgeting process?
They didn't.
And they didn't, did they? No. Okay. Okay. Any questions on general fund? Okay, we'll move on. We have a quarterly report from Ann.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Everyone should have gotten a hard copy and a digital report from me. Mostly just goes over all the data layers that we create and maintain. And anything we've done in the last year. Grant applications, boundary collection, statewide data collection, assessment rolls. The LiDAR flight, we're still waiting on that to come back into our hands. The aerial flight, we got a small sample in July. I included a photo of that. And then for the aerial flight, they're still doing the ortho editing. And the TIFF files will be ready for us to QA/QC in October, and then we'll hand it back to them, and they'll sew it all together and give it to us. Grant reporting, still doing our 911, NG 911 data conversion. Our Beacon web mapping application is up and live. We've been working with Schneider Geospatial to fine tune the map applications. For the end users, they kind of liked certain things on our old site that they wanted to see again, so we're still fine tuning that. Let's see, the real property lister just got back from his annual meeting in September. He'll be attending the Wisconsin Land Information Association Fall Meeting in October. And he's going to attend the Wisconsin Association of Assessing Officers Conference in October as well. He'll be focusing on Act 12 and personal property becoming exempt. Some meetings We have a monthly Wisconsin NG 911 meeting. And then our local emergency planning committee meeting was postponed until October. As you know, my budget was completed, turned in. And then I added just a few photos of snapshots of the amount of use our GIS application gets. And then also some information on which I find interesting, the days of the week that get the most hits. And then just a few of the other applications, how many requests we get online for those. Besides that, we're excited to move to our new offices when the time comes, because we're sitting right next to all this noise right now. It's really loud. It'll be nice for us to each have our own offices, and we'll have room for the county surveyor when he will be joining us January 1st.
Where do you move to?
We will be where HR is,
Oh, okay.
so we'll actually have our own offices for once.
I thought HR was
They're
staying.
going where, clerk of courts is. I think that's what it is.
I think so.
I think it is.
The other thing we're gonna be doing is working with the new corp council to button up the surveyor's contract before January
Did you
1st.
see her? didn't
I
see
haven't seen her yet, but she starts today.
Yeah. I'll give her a couple days to settle in before I bother her.
Might want to be the first in the office because you're going to take a while.
And the last thing I wanted to mention is our real property lister, Nick, passed on his gavel as president of the WRPLA. He'll still be just as involved as past president and continue on working on state and local issues. Does anyone have questions for me?
Oh, nice report.
Thank you.
Nothing? Okay. Thank you.
No, it stopped when you're done.
Yeah.
Paul, it looks like you have a report for us.
Oh, then it starts up again. It's just when we're going to be talking. I don't have a lot to report. Coming up in the next month or so, month and a half, we'll be putting the ad in for the election, which is next April. So nomination papers start the 1st of December. Also, we did get an election grant for the new absentee envelopes. We have to throw all the old ones away. They're no good anymore. So state gave us a grant to buy new ones. And we worked with 24 of the 26 municipalities, and they gave us their grant money also. So I bought all the envelopes for 24 municipalities. And I'll be handing them out to everybody but City of Osseo and the village of Trempealeau. Yep. They went on their own.
And the grant's covering the entire cost of it?
For as many as we buy.
Oh, okay.
We had to figure that out too. They must have come in a little bit, Sam might know, a little bit cheap. Oh, another bill, okay.
So that was for just absentee ballots?
Envelopes, just the envelopes. Because now there's the regular absentee envelope, there's the overseas envelope, and there's the military envelope, and then the special voting deputy, and then also the outside envelope that the absentee ballots are mailed out in. So we're getting as much as we can out of that grant money.
So why not the Osseo and the Village of Trempealeau?
Village of Trempealeau, they specialize their envelopes and have them pre-printed with their return address and all that, and we didn't go that far with. So Kathy went on her own. And then City of Osseo was just late, and
They were early, they just went ahead and did it on their own before we even sent out an email explaining.
that's what it was, yep.
They just
already
they-
automatically signed up.
And they did say they were upset that they didn't go with the rest of us, so it would have been 25 out of 26.
Yeah, I am too.
And, okay, you guys all know that budgets are going fairly well. The committee's got a track record of taking away from every single budget so far. Every single budget. Every single budget.
We're just
Yeah.
looking forward to law
I haven't
enforcement.
presented yet either. So. One thing though that I am looking at is marriage license. We are the third cheapest in the state. Almost, we could have been by $5. We could have been the cheapest, but I'm going to look at maybe raising the marriage license fee.
What is it now?
We're at 60.
And what's
And
the
we've-
average or so?
Oh, probably 80, 90, 100. Some are $125.
How many?
The state only says we have to charge 50, and there's one county that's 50. And then there's one county that's 55, and then we're at 60, and three of us are the lowest.
How many do we issue every year?
About 150. So I mean, it's not gonna be big dollars, it's probably $1,500 to $1,800. If I go up to 75, which there's a few counties that are at 75.
Is that something you just decide to do, or does that take?
Well, this committee's gonna have to bring the resolution to county board, so we'll talk about it when I come to present.
Okay.
There's something to be said though about being the cheapest place to get married, you know, I don't know.
And we've had people come from La Crosse County up here,
So what do they
and
charge?
Eau Claire. They're 100, I think they're at 100, but they also require an appointment. You can only get a marriage license if you've got an appointment. So, and we don't, we just have
Open door.
walk in and apply.
That's peanuts on the dollar, really.
Well, if you want to have me lower, it's going to be probably only going to be $1,500 to $1,800 that I'll be able to cut my levy by.
Every dollar counts.
There you go. A penny here. We had one municipality, or not municipality, one department that we only took $100 from.
So it doesn't matter where you live, you can go to any courthouse in the state and get it?
Yep, you can get it anywhere in the state now. And there's legislation right now there's a 6-month waiting period after divorce before you can apply for a marriage license. That legislation right now is knocking that out. So if you got a divorce today, you can get married tomorrow. I don't
That would come under a glutton for punishment.
Well, it's probably the reason for the divorce is what I'm thinking. Other than that, the office is running smoothly. We're getting Holly trained in on doing marriage licenses, and she's doing very well with the purchasing. And she's in charge of the mail, so that's another good thing. So
How's Sam performing?
I can't say it unless we're in closed session. No, I'm kidding. I'm welcoming her back today. She's been gone for 3 days last week. So,
Strategically plan to miss the budgets, right?
uh-huh.
I asked him, I didn't have to go.
That might be different this week, though.
Anything else, Paul?
Other than that, that's about it.
Questions for Paul? Questions for?
You know, there's something that came up in the budgets, Paul, about who we use for the auditing and stuff. And I know you really like who we use, and they're a good company. But I just wonder, you know, I think we should open that up for bidding out just to see if we're getting the best deal. You know.
And are you talking in conjunction with the healthcare center, or?
Well, I mean, if you did it in conjunction with health care, you might get a better deal, but we wouldn't have to, because they may not want to do it either. But I think we should still do it. So
I think
How-
Whiffley specializes in like healthcare center stuff.
yeah.
And Baker Tilly does also now too. They've got that expertise. They
The,
didn't
uh,
at first, yeah.
How is having an administrator going to change how we deal with that? Is that still gonna be your office that deals with that, or is the administrator going to control that?
I would think that would still be under mine. But I can either talk to the new administrator and,
Is that like I don't know if there's a state law that it stays in the county clerk's office?
it's where the accounting is,
Accounting,
so.
okay.
And we do the payroll and the financials, so I would think it would stay there.
I don't know, I'm just suggesting, I think it might be a good idea for us to do that. You don't have to take action on a request for proposal bid, but you can certainly know whether we're in the right realm of whether we should be paying what we're paying or not.
The other thing I believe it was Tim brought up is there's a rule regulation in regard to, did you mention only a decade with one and then you're supposed to change?
Banks, it's, you can't have the same auditor person for more than
person.
5. You can't have the same firm for more than 10.
Okay.
That's statutes?
That's statute for the
Federal.
private sector. You should never let the titular head of finance select your auditor. No offense, but the auditor should not be picking somebody they're comfortable with. I had a mom and a mother-in-law in banking. That's what she told me.
Okay. Well, just more information to add to this.
When does that contract come up?
Oh, I forgot to look at that. I couldn't tell you.
Isn't it re-signed annually?
It's usually a 3 or 5 year thing, and I
Okay.
looked at it.
Yeah, I think we should have that on the to-do list.
To
Find out
look
when the
at, yeah.
contract's up,
Yeah.
and let's tee up a bid for those audits. And
Okay.
we could have the administrator do it so that it wouldn't be in your office right for conflict or whatever, and that'd be a good thing for the administrator to get his hands around that whole financial piece.
Okay.
Cool.
Anything else, Paul?
That's all I got.
No, thanks. Item 9. Transfer from general fund to next gen 911 grant fund. I assume, is that anything? Who's talking to us about it?
I think the sheriff.
You'll see I'm trying.
Just push the button.
No batteries in that bad.
I think that light
Is there a battery in the back? Check.
flashes green.
Yeah, there's a battery in there.
Oh, sit down next to Doc.
Tap it, see if it's working. I think it is, isn't it?
Testing,
No.
No.
flashes a green light there.
It's just flashing a green light?
Well, flashes blue to start with, and then it'll flash a green one after that.
Forgot you pick them up.
There you go.
0 for 2.
0 for 2.
Somebody sign out
Have we got,
somebody.
have we got too,
Because
have we
if
got too many on?
Try it now.
Sam, turn that one off.
Next year.
Amazing.
There you go.
Okay, so this kind of goes along with what Ann talked about when she talks about the NG mapping for GS. Our current 911 system is outdated, and they're going to be replacing them across the state with the next gen 911. And what next gen 911 allows is a caller to provide video and text message images or services to the dispatcher as they call in a 911 call. They can give that extra little bit of evidence. And the state of Wisconsin Department of Military Affairs has grant funding for the equipment for that. And that's what this resolution is about. It's a 10% matching grant. And last year was the first year that they had given them away. We were not ready to go ahead with that at that time, but we are certainly ready this year, especially with new construction and the possibility of putting that equipment in before we move over there. So I'll just read the resolution and then answer questions. So whereas Trempealeau County is a PSAP, or a public safety access point for all Trempealeau County emergency services, including law enforcement, fire services, and EMS services, and whereas in 2015 the current Vesta 911 system went into service, whereas our current 911 Vesta system under Lumen last indicated to us that they will not be able to support their Vesta product any longer, whereas Next Gen 911 includes new features and enhancements that greatly increase the capabilities and response of the county's emergency services, and whereas the construction of a new facility, including dispatch center, will require moving old equipment or installing new equipment, and whereas the solution proposed by vendors is to upgrade the components in the dispatch center at a cost of $312,256.30, and whereas the Wisconsin Department of Military Affairs has announced a grant to fund the equipment and installation of such equipment that requires a 10% match from the county, and whereas the county has applied for the grant funding and only if approved for the grant will the Next Gen 911 project proceed, and whereas the Next Gen 911 grant is a reimbursement grant that will require the county to spend the full cost of the project upfront and then be reimbursed by the grant minus the 10% required, which is $31,225.63. Now be it resolved that the Trempealeau County Board of Supervisors hereby approves the transfer of $312,256.30 from the county's general fund to account number 101.52160.249 for the purpose of funding the county's PSAP Next Gen 911 project. And now be it further resolved that when the 90% reimbursement funds are received from the grant in the amount of $281,030.67, they be deposited back into the county's general fund. So a year ago, I brought a resolution to the county board to designate Trempealeau County Sheriff's Office as the PSAP in Trempealeau County that can apply for this grant. We're unique in that this is the only PSAP. Other counties have multiple PSAPs in their county, and they have to designate one to apply for the grant. So we had to have that resolution in place before we applied. The application is filled out. We're expecting to be decided on by the end of October. And they're telling us that we have a very high probability of receiving this grant this year. If not this year, the funds available next year are substantially higher and most certainly would get the grant next year. But it sounds like we are one of few that have applied, and it's quite likely we will get this. We will know at the end of this month. So we have 2 quotes on the project. This is the higher of the 2. The lower of the 2 is a little bit lower than this. I don't know exactly what it is, but this would be the higher of the 2 in the event we get the grant. So,
Is that different equipment then?
What's that?
Different equipment between the 2 bids or something? Or?
Nope, it'd be the same equipment, just different vendors. So,
If we didn't get this grant, didn't do this year, you would have to move old equipment into the new center and then a year later make changes?
yes,
Not good.
correct.
Okay. If
I would make a motion to
if we went in with this, applied for this now, didn't get it this year, by buying it this year, would we be eligible for the grant next year?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it would be for new purchases only, I believe.
Okay.
I believe I heard that along the line
Okay.
somewhere, so.
I'd like to make a motion to approve just for discussion, nothing else.
And a second.
Discuss it.
And second.
Second. I assume Sam heard it all. I didn't hear all the words in your motion, but
Motion to approve, at least for the sake of discussion.
Okay. Okay. Any more discussion on this?
Yeah, I just want to point out, I'm not sure if we talked about this in the law enforcement committee, that, so the original request was 400,000 for the whole project. When it's all said and done, we're gonna be putting more than just that what we get back into the general fund. It's gonna be like another 56,000, right? And that how we came up with that?
So that kind of ties into the next resolution. So there's, they're telling us that when the tower project is done, because we were able to rent a tower versus build a tower, there's gonna be about $375,000 in savings there. The original quote for a new tower was about 400,000, but there's some other pieces that came up that drops that available money down to 375,000 because we didn't build a tower.
Is that pigeon?
That's the Pigeon Tower, yes. So the next resolution is going to ask for $200,000 of that money. And this resolution is asking for 31,225 of that 10%. So total, the county's going to spend about $231,000 between these two resolutions, which is well under the savings of the $375,000 that will be realized when the tower project is done. I think that's what Mr. Orsh was getting at.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pull all those numbers in, but in essence, we're gonna be spending a whole lot less than we originally approved on the previous resolution, so.
My original resolutions to law enforcement a couple months ago were to do it all out of that savings, but that savings is paid for by ARPA funds, and there might be rules as far as reimbursing ARPA, using it and reimbursing it. So we felt it was best just to use the general fund to do the next gen 911 piece because there's that reimbursement piece with it. The resolution I'm bringing up next is simply redesignating ARPA funds and not using general fund money. But it's still overall, with the savings of the tower project and these two resolutions, there will be 130,000 or 160,000 available of those ARPA funds yet then, that were originally designated away.
I had 56,000.
Well, it'd be 275 minus the 200, 375 minus the 200,000, which is 175, and then the 30,000 that the general fund will be using, that brings it
On
down
this
to.
one here, yeah, okay.
So it's,
This is 31,000
Yeah.
plus, and the next one,
yeah.
I guess I've got
So
to hear that.
375 minus that 231,000, that's the net effect,
Okay.
I guess,
Okay.
so.
The 400,000 you have in the account already? That one was already.
It was designated, I believe. Paul probably has to
Yeah.
answer that.
What's designated for that tower is $1,597,748.62 is what you, and that's on your ARPA sheet that should be on your desk.
Or was it?
So in essence, that 1.5 million will go down by 375,000. And I'll have probably two lines on there, one for the next gen and one for the upgrade radio, right?
So we're going to unallocate that and reallocate it.
And that's what this resolution and both resolutions basically say that.
And our copies don't have signatures, but law enforcement has passed both of these.
Law enforcement's already passed this
Okay.
one.
What one
The-
is that?
Well, the one that's on the next gen 911. I don't know,
Yeah, they passed them both, but.
okay.
Okay?
You don't get the grant done.
So if we don't get the grant, it gets a little tricky. We have to move old equipment, but our current vendor does not have, our current vendor was bought out by Brightspeed, which is the phone provider, and the current vendor is Lumen. When they were bought out, Brightspeed took their technicians with them, and they don't have technicians to service our current equipment. So then we got to find somebody that can service the current equipment after it's installed into the new dispatch center. So
Which will also cost money anyway.
yes, yeah. So you know, I'm cautiously optimistic, on the fairly confident side that we're going to get this grant, and that would take care of those issues. So.
I'd make a motion to approve it.
You already did.
For discussion purposes only.
Oh, you gotta change your, you didn't vote on that.
We didn't, no, we haven't voted on that on your first motion yet.
Okay, well, anyway.
That's typically when you got a subject, you make a motion second, and then you can talk about it.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
where you're at.
Right,
Yeah.
yep. So now, are we done talking? Is that what you're saying?
That's up to you guys. I'm not gonna tell you.
Well, it's a necessary item. It's something,
Yeah, I'm done.
it's gotta be done, so.
I think we have to make every attempt to get this.
Yes, yes, you know, if we didn't approve this and we did the project, it's gonna cost you $300 and some thousand, so.
Right, yep,
yeah.
yep. So. Any other questions? If not, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Did I?
Yeah, I didn't hear.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay. Opposed? Carried. Next item is the resolution to transfer from the county's unspent radio tower project fund to upgrade radio equipment and dispatch.
So this is another project that must happen sooner or later, and I should say sooner than later. And we were fortunate that we were able to use a current tower and rent versus having to build a new tower and save some money in that radio tower project that can help pay for this project, which is kind of tied into the radio project. This has to deal with all the equipment, all the radio equipment in the dispatch center. It's all Motorola. It's the touchscreen computer that they use for paging. It's the radio communications with public service, law enforcement, EMS, and fire. And that equipment is also at a critical stage in its life. So I'll read the resolution and then we can talk about it after that. So whereas Trempealeau County is the PSAP public service access point for all Trempealeau County emergency services, including law enforcement, fire services, and EMS services. And whereas in 2015, the current, I'm sorry.
You're reading the right one.
Yeah.
No, this is the next, I'm reading the next gen grant again. So they kind of start out the same. So the first whereas is the same. The second whereas goes like this. In 2015, the current Motorola radio equipment in the dispatch center went into service. And whereas due to the timing of installation of the current equipment, the current radio equipment end of life was 2021 and software upgrades are no longer available. And whereas the construction of a new facility, including the dispatch center, will require moving old equipment or installing new equipment. And whereas the solution proposed by Baycom is to upgrade the components in the dispatch center at a cost not to exceed $200,000. And whereas due to the current system age, failures and subsequent repairs are becoming more and more frequent. Whereas the upgrade of the current public safety radio tower system with new equipment requires that dispatch center radio upgrade begin now, whether all at once or staged over a 5-year period. And whereas the emergency services radio tower system replacement fund includes $400,000 to construct a new tower if needed. And whereas the new tower will not be needed and Baycom anticipates that $375,000 will be unspent on the project. Now be it resolved that the Trempealeau County Board of Supervisors approves the transfer of $200,000 from the county's Emergency Services Radio Tower System Replacement Fund to account number 101.52160.249 for the purpose of upgrading the radio equipment dispatch center as proposed by Baycom.
Okay, we should start with a motion to approve before we start talking.
Move to approve.
Second, okay. Questions, comments?
Mike?
So
It's louder today than it was last week.
in here it says it begin now, whether all at once or staged over 5 years? Can you explain that?
So they can replace certain components of the dispatch center over a 5-year period. It's and then make payments on it. Basically, is what it is. It's more expensive to do it that way. They had it broke down in 5-year payments, and I don't know exactly what those payments were. It's more expensive to do it that way, but there was one additional software upgrade available if we did it that way. And this is where I'm not that technical savvy as far as the software upgrades available. If we do it all up front, it's cheaper, but we'll have to pay for one more software upgrade at about the 5-year mark. So the total cost is about a wash. If we do it all up front right now, that will maximize the effectiveness of upgrading the radio tower project that we're doing, because all those components work together. So that's in a nutshell how it was explained to me by Baycom. They didn't have a preference either way, but it really there was no real savings of doing it either way. This way we get it all done at once, and that's why I'm proposing all at once. And we have, as it stands right now, we have $200,000 available for it. If you do it in payments, you don't know what that's going to be in 2 or 3 or 4 years.
I'd be inclined to think paying for it now is the way to go. Besides
Yeah,
that,
it's only gonna get
5
more
years from now, it might be
expensive.
somebody else's problem.
Yes, well, yes, and of course, you know how the cost of these electronics are going right now, and availability of them.
What's the longevity of this equipment?
10 years. I will point out that going with these 2 resolutions will delay us moving our dispatch center into the new facility until sometime in the spring. We will still function, but we won't occupy that center because we have to wait for the radio equipment to be ordered and arrive. Same with the next gen 911 equipment, and that they're saying it could take up to 3 months or 3 to 4 months. So
I think we knew that, didn't we?
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah.
Anything else? If not, I'll call for the vote on this. All in favor of taking this on to full county board, say yes. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Item 11 is a TAD grant budget adjustment.
Well, maybe I'm gonna have to talk about this one a little bit. Ask her if she can come down in case there's questions, because I won't be able to answer the questions. But I can start it out anyway, saying that this treatment alternatives and diversion grant that the district attorney's office received, in the amount of $50,000, since they got it, they got to get it into their budget, and that's what this resolution does. And it also sets this up as a non-lapsing account.
Would you like to read it so we can make a
I
motion on it?
I can read it. Whereas the district attorney's office has been awarded a $50,000 grant from the Department of Justice for treatment alternatives and diversion, which is TAD. And whereas this money is intended to fund the TAD diversion program operated through the district attorney's office. Whereas since the district attorney's office original budget did not include the TAD grant funds, the funds need to be added to the budget. And whereas these additional grant funds do not require the county to make any additional appropriations. Now be it resolved that Trumbull County accepts this update and that money received be deposited in revenue account 101.43689, TAD grant revenue, and expense accounts 101.51313.210, $40,000, 101.51313, .225, $200, in object code 310 for $3,000, in object code 311 for $1,350, and in .325, $2,350, in 334, $600, in 336, $1,500, and 339, $1,000, all set as a non-lapsing account.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Obviously comes to $50,000.
It does, I made sure of that
I'll
part.
make a motion to approve.
Second.
And this one, law enforcement hasn't gotten yet, so it'll be at their October meeting, which I think falls before county board, so that this can go to county board.
Okay. Any other questions?
Are you making sure? Oh, no, you're doing
something else.
Hard to turn down free money.
Right, yep.
Yes.
Okay, well, and I didn't hear anything on the negative side, like we have to stand on our head with one arm in the air or something in order to get it. So, okay, well, hearing no questions, we'll call for a vote on this. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Just sign down here, does this?
Opposed? Carried. Discussion of ARPA funds with the report/update.
I'm gonna sound like a broken record, there isn't any update. I got in front of you the, what's been allocated and what hasn't been allocated. When this gets adopted by county board, the two resolutions prior, I'll restate that amount.
Okay.
Of the 1.5 will be reduced by the 375,000, then added to the next gen 911 grant. And what was that other whatever that other resolution was. I haven't received the September interest yet, but we got 273,000 at the end of August. It was over 20,000 a month that's coming in interest on this. So that 273 plus, probably it's in the 290s now, will be money that's just goes to the general fund. I think I got it taken care of. Were there any questions about the TAD program?
Well, we moved to approve it anyway.
And you voted already too.
Yep.
Perfect.
It's good to get out of the office.
Any questions for the ARPA funds?
I think in the budget process, you were talking about probably using some of this for highway? Maybe?
Maybe,
Okay, I had to put that in there.
yep, maybe.
If we're looking for little pots all over the place, probably.
Right, yep. So. If they get back, or if they aren't spending any more to get the building finished, there'll be more money for others. FEMA.
That's a broken record for sure.
Yep.
We have heard nothing.
Do we expect to hear something? That's the question.
We are, yes, we should be getting our admin money back, the administration of it.
And that was
$90,000.
90-something? Yep.
But that was brought up too, I think, I don't know if it was at this committee or if it was just John and I talking, that if they go with percentage of what we did get,
That was
that was you, okay, I knew it was somebody.
percentage of what we actually got or the percentage of what we requested makes quite a difference in them,
That is
in
for
the
sure.
dollars.
So it's just a wait and see.
Is there a possibility we can reapply because they put down that we were closed? And we were never closed, so. Reapply with all those old amounts.
We could talk to, I can't even remember the girl's name now.
Bridget or something, isn't
Is there a date, time frame on when we'd get that administration money back?
Well, I've had
Whenever
it for
the
over a year
feds-
already, so.
Yeah, whenever the feds decide to do it, that's what's taking forever. Was it Bridget? It was Megan, right?
Megan,
It was
that's
Megan,
right.
but then she moved on, and it's a different, Olivia, it's Olivia.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. LATCF grant funds.
Okay, you'll see $50,000 in the audit report for 2022, because that's all we received in 2022. But in 2023, we got another 50,000, and that can be allocated and used any way we wish. So that's another one of those little pots that probably,
How much was that again?
it's 100,000 in there now.
Plus some interest, I would hope.
And there'd be interest also, yep.
Okay. 24 budget.
We're halfway through the budget hearings, so I don't,
Actually, more than half, aren't
well, we've had 3 days and 3 days, I'm taking it,
we? Yeah,
time-wise,
in
but,
terms of-
oh.
In terms of departments, we
Right,
only
right.
have like a day left of
And how close were we getting again?
We're down in the 200 and some thousand.
the 264.
Goodness.
And I know Stacy already updated your long sheets. She brought them and handed it all to you, but, and I went back into our calculation thing, and it's just a little bit off of what you have and what I would say it is, so we'll update that on Wednesday.
So,
And are we gonna have the clerk of courts coming back?
I didn't bring any of that. We had 2 or 3 already that we designated coming back. I wrote that on my other papers.
right, so. And Dave, just so you're aware, if we end up going to Friday, you're gonna have to run the meeting to start with.
We're not going to Friday.
Okay.
Okay, no worries.
If it's going on, I'll have my wife drive me down here after my eyes get doctored up.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so date and time for the next meeting.
November 6th.
Well, how come budget hearings don't go this fast? 8:30 again? 8:30?
Standard, yep,
Okay.
8:30 unless somebody needs to change it. Okay,
What about this? It wasn't on the agenda. No, that was just on the bottom of my pile.
What's it say?
Oh, that's for the Dietrich Park canoe landing, but we did that already, didn't
We
we?
did that last month.
Yeah,
That was a coin pool.
yeah. I think
Yeah, it was county
yeah.
board, yeah.
It was just under my pile of stuff. so.
You
Yeah,
dug
what-
too deep.
Dug too deep.
seeing, we're at the end of our agenda, and I guess we can adjourn at 9:24.